Welcome to part number 5 of our 9-part series on how to develop really good interview skills. So, Karen, this week we're talking a little bit about values. And I know we talk about values a whole lot on these, but
We value the values.
we value the values of your value. All very important things. Well, what's really important about that is you want to work for a place and in a place that you really have a connection with, that you feel good about the mission, that you connect well with the people and with others around there. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So when you're going through the interview process, how do you know that that organization or that individual hiring manager values what you value?
It's difficult, but
It
there's a
is.
way.
Yes. And honestly, there's never an exact 100%. I think we all have a couple of experiences where we think a position is going to be one thing and it ends up being something different. Sometimes that can be okay, and sometimes that could be terrible. But no matter what, as long as you are as informed as you can be when you're going in there, that's really what it's about. So today we have a couple of tips to help you find out if the values that you have connect with the values that they have. So, Karen, what's the first one?
So the first one is what's important to you in a job, agency, and boss?
Yes. So basically asking yourself honestly, what is important to you? What is it that you want? And what is it that you don't want? Sometimes we may say, yeah, I'm really hardworking and I really want to persevere and I want to work late and show that I'm great and everything. But then when you're there and you have the opportunity to do that, you may not want to have that type of an environment. Like, what if it's really fast paced and the boss is like really gruff and everything, and you thought that's what you wanted, but then later on you realize maybe not.
Then there's a problem.
Then there's a problem. Karen, you talked about like reflecting and mindfulness and all that. How do you use some of those strategies to help you figure out what is your values?
I mean, it does take a lot of reflecting, and I know we've done multiple exercises to identify what our true values are. And I think it is taking the time to identify what your values are, because that's what you hold close to you. And if you're in a position that you are kind of conflicting with your values, you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be pretty.
Oh, that's such a great way of putting it. So one of the things that you can do is just honestly write down a list of 5 times where you felt really good about something and 5 times that you felt really bad about something in work. And then from there, reflect back and think, well, what was at the root of why you felt that way? Did you feel really great because you got to be innovative, or you had a chance to work with people, or you had to be analytical or something a little bit more secluded? What are those things? Or if it's really bad, like what really brought that on? Was it a certain behavior that the boss had? Those sorts of things. So then when you are in the interview and you can see the responses that they're giving about what the job is like, what everything looks like, then you can kind of feel like, okay, I'm getting the vibe that this boss would be like this way or like that way. And that either conflicts with what values you have or not. Yeah, just go with your gut. How does that feel?
Right. How does that make you feel?
How does that make you feel?
And it's interesting that you say that about reflecting on something to see, why were you feeling so troubled by it? And, I had to go through that many times. But one of them was I was just having this situation at work and it was frustrating me and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, am I overreacting? What is the issue here? And peeling it back and trying to figure out what was going on, I realized that because one of my values is accountability, I was working with somebody who took no accountability. And it was just so frustrating for me that it was always something else's fault, somebody else's fault, never, taking accountability for, one's own actions. And that was just frustrating me to no end.
To no end. Exactly.
So, but having realized that, it helped me deal with the situation. So.
Yeah. And if they ask you a question about, what's your experience or how have things been, and then you communicate your value of accountability, that could help identify whether or not they would connect with that degree of accountability that you have, that value there. And if you can, and they can, then you're at least working towards something that you feel is an alignment on values, which is, again, super important. All right. So that's the first one. figure out what it is that you have as your value. Almost like we're just saying it like it's a snap. Go find your values.
Right. So easy. Just pick them out.
It takes time, but as you get there and you know what works for you, then you know what works for you. It just takes some time. All right, what's the second strategy?
So the second one is to ask open-ended questions.
Ooh, yes. Ask a question that doesn't have an answer of yes, no, maybe, we'll check the budget, something like that. Some great ones are, how is it that this project is going to contribute towards the goal or the mission of the organization? How do you see this position accomplishing the objectives that you have in your performance plan? What skills or qualities do you think would be required in this position to be successful? Open-ended questions. Yeah, think about how, what, when, those sorts of things to give like a little bit of a response for them. If the interviewer kind of sits back and has to reflect for a little bit, then you know you're going to get something of a genuine answer as opposed to just a canned response about something. Plus, also, it shows that you're engaged. It shows that you really are trying to connect with what it is that's going on. I mean, don't drill them either. Why did you wear that tie this morning? Oh, by the way, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh,
yes. See, like, we got the green going on.
So we do.
So we do. I like it. We're in sync. Our values are connected. All right, what's the next one?
So the next and final one is to stay conversational.
Yeah, stay conversational. Again, it's all about this relationship that you're establishing. Think about it this way. This person you're going to be working with day in, day out for potentially years at a time. I mean, we moved away from Texas years ago, and some of the people that we work with, we see a whole lot more than our own family. So, I mean, you should know whether or not if this is going to be a good relationship. Don't be so like blinded about, oh, I really need this because of the benefits or because of the, the commute, something like that. But really think about some bigger things. Is this a relationship that you're going to want to have? And you can establish that by making sure you're being conversational. Establish that relationship.
Yeah, it's a great way to do it.
What's your best conversation starter that you like to have when you're talking with people?
I am the wrong person to ask this question to. What'd you do this weekend? That's kind of the go-to type of, question. Always, especially revolving around pets, puppies.
Pets, puppies.
That type of thing, because, puppies are cute. And
may I make an observation?
Yes.
One of the most wonderful things that I really enjoy about you, Karen, is how well you listen for others. So you don't just like ask a general question, but rather you hear what the person's talking about, and then you ask follow-up questions that are important to them. So people feel comfortable and at ease with you. That's one of the things that I've always just really admired with your ability to do that.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that feedback.
Absolutely. So this has been yet another get together to talk about interviews and how to prepare for them. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week. Every Wednesday, we get together to talk about some interview strategies for this 9-part series. If you'd like, go back and watch our 9-part series on resume writing as well. Tons of great stuff here. Thank you so much for your service, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.